90s and noughties cars are having something of a resurgence in interest among enthusiasts and modern classic speculators, with this, the E46 BMW 3 Series, arguably one of the most popular for its balance of value, performance, reliability and practicality.
And I would love to say that that is why I bought this very lovely 2001 330i convertible, complete with a 5-speed automatic transmission. It's got around about 130,000 miles on the clock and quite a full service history as well, actually. But the truth is, I didn't buy it. My husband did. I didn't think we should get another car because, as you may know from my video on the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, I already have an R129 Mercedes SL, so we've sort of ticked the unnecessary old German convertible box. We also have a Nissan X-Trail that we kind of run about in for dog walks, and my husband also has a work van. I have press cars. We really do have another car. What on earth did we need another one for? But he loves cars as much as I do, and while there was absolutely no objective or common sense reason to buy another car, well, when you're married and when you've already got a stupid old German car of your own, it's very difficult to tell your partner that they can't have one too. So basically, this isn't just one of the best modern classics out there. This, dear viewer, is an excellent example of marital compromise.
Perhaps even more annoying for me is that actually the E46 3 Series really is a supremely lovely and recommendable old car. For a start, even in the convertible you can get 4 people, plus the boot is big enough to take all the usual random gubbins, from your gym kit to a toilet roll. We won't question why that's there.
Now, the real reason that the E46 is such a popular used car is because it's got a great reputation for being a really good driver's car, and they're really, really affordable and really available as well. There's loads out there. This, as I said, is the 330i. We actually had a 320i estate previously, which is also really great. It's a smaller capacity version of the same inline 6-cylinder engine. The 330d is a fabulous option if you want really good kind of performance as well as really good economy. But I still think that the 330i is kind of the sweet spot because you get really lovely 228 brake horsepower naturally aspirated engine. It's really, really lovely to drive, and yet it's way, way cheaper than the M3, which understandably is much more desirable. And I mean, you'll pay, 10 grand and more over what you'd pay for a 330i. Now, you can get the E46s from as little as £1,000 or even under for like a really kind of slightly ropey one. We only paid £2,000 for this one. Now, that is actually because it's got some damage on it. Now, if you can see down here, the car's been keyed down all 3 panels down this side. So unfortunately, that really affected the value of the car. Also, the roof had some kind of green on it. It was all looking a bit shabby. But when we looked at it, you could see that it was pretty mechanically solid and actually quite a nice thing if you just put a little bit of effort into it. Normally, you'd pay at least 3, actually, for a 330i. So I think we got a fairly decent deal. And we might get this paintwork fixed one day. We've kind of buffed a lot of it out. I have to say my husband's done all of the hard work with this. He does love this car, and he's done a really good job on the roof and everything. It's looking really smart now.
As for reliability, the E46 has a good reputation, but there are some things to look out for. First port of call, as ever with older cars, is the Owners Club, where you'll find loads of great advice, so do start there. However, it's worth being eagle-eyed with an E46 as they're often run on a shoestring, so finding one with a solid history is rare but worth it if you can find it.
Other notable stuff to look out for with the E46, well, these are really popular with people who want to do track days and drifting, that sort of stuff, understandably so. So do look out for signs that they've been really hard used, because that stuff just isn't very mechanically kind, is it? And do look out for it on 330Ds as well, because the diesels are still really popular with drift scenes. Doesn't matter that it's a diesel. Listen for noisy diffs, that kind of thing can be a good sign that they might have been used really hard for that kind of thing. There was a facelift in 2001. The diesels then were a bit prone to turbo issues. Look out for the white smoke. Rust can be a problem, wheel arches in the rear subframe. Our car seems to be really solid actually on that front, it's really good, but do look out for any bubbles coming up. You're buying the convertible, look for water ingress in the boot, the battery's in the boot and that can affect that, so check that. Typically they're really quite reliable cars. The automatic gearbox that we've got in here, the 5-speed auto, they're apparently not as reliable as the manuals. We've not had a problem with ours. Now that I've mentioned it on a video on YouTube, I'm sure that it will probably throw up some sort of terrible issue. Generally it's pretty good. You might want to go for the manual if you're at all worried about that. and I've not driven the manual 330. I'm told that it's a little bit better to drive, so I'd be really interested to have a go in one. The only thing I would say is that you do get quite a bit of scuttle shake with the convertible. You can feel that it's reasonably heavy car by the standards of such things, and over certain surfaces you get quite a lot of flex from the car's body, but generally it doesn't really bother me. The roof goes down really nicely, it's really reliable, and actually with it up it's quite a refined thing as well. It's such a lovely car to live with, and it's just so nice driving around like this. It's really, really lovely. I can see why the convertible is kind of such a desirable thing, really. And it really moves. 228 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in, well, it was around about 7 seconds when new. Goodness knows what it is now. But it's got just the right amount of power for UK roads, I think, the 330i. And also, because the E46 by today's standard is quite a small car, it's quite narrow, it just feels perfect for nice spirited drive down a nice country road like this. Turns in nicely. The steering's actually surprisingly light, but it does build weight really nicely. Brakes feel good. In our car we've got a little bit of a judder under heavy braking, so I think we need to look at that. Although I've just noticed today another thing, so you brake and then you come off the brakes. Oh, there it is, and you hear a little ee. Other strange quirks of this car, when you indicate left or right, it flashes as if there's an indicator bulb out. There isn't. We've checked all of them a number of times, and yet weirdly if you indicate with the side lights on, you don't get that. It indicates normally. So really weird. So there's obviously some sort of peculiar wiring thing going on, some kind of gremlin. I will forgive it that because it's had a bit of a life, but it's generally been well looked after. The interior's wearing really nicely too. I think it's really decent for this sort of mileage. There's quite a lot of scratching on the plastics down here is the only thing. But it's just such an easy car to live with this, not only because you can get people in the back, but also, I mean, I've got leather seats, electric seat adjustment. I have got 4-way electric lumbar adjustment in this car. Oh, check that out. For 2001, what a thing. 6 CD changer in the back. Retro goodness right there. Love that. Dials, classic, old school BMW, really clear and easy to read. Everything about this car, even the sort of multi-function steering wheel, it feels modern and yet retro and very functional, which is great. And maybe I wish the ride was a little bit sort of more composed over certain surfaces. 17-inch alloys on this car. Most of the time it's absolutely fine. And honestly, for the price and for what you're getting, I'm not sure that there is a better modern classic out there.
So there you have it. The E46 BMW 3 Series has long been considered something of a modern classic, and I don't think you'll ever see them cheaper than they are right about now. They're fantastic, fun, usable old cars that feel old enough to be special and interesting, yet more than modern enough for regular daily use. A real sweet spot in the world of interesting, sort of old cars, and if you want one, there is never going to be a better moment than now. Head to cargurus.co.uk for a whole host of fantastic used cars, including loads of 3 Series, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the CarGurus UK YouTube channel, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of our videos.